Hey, what's up, y'all? Today I'm going to walk you through how to access the engine on your 981 generation Cayman. We're going to be working on my 2016 981 Cayman GT4 today. These are a little bit harder to access due to the mid-engine, but stick with me, I'll get you through it. So let's dive in. We're going to start by popping the rear hatch so we can get into the back of the vehicle. And then we'll kick it over. Now that we're inside the rear hatch, we're going to have to remove a series of parts to gain access to the engine. We're going to start by removing these covers on each side, popping down this trim piece, then removing this center section, which is all held in by a series of clips. We'll then have to move towards up front to pop out these covers by the seat belts on each side, then finally remove this tower support bar in the middle. Once we have that out, we should then be able to pull this carpet trim piece out, and then underneath it, there's going to be a series of torque bolts that we'll remove. That'll get us access to the engine lid cover, which we can then remove to gain access to the engine. We're going to start by removing these trim pieces right here, which are held in by a series of clips. This is going to pull straight out. So once this is out, you'll see that there's a little plastic cover here that goes on this side and another one that goes on the other side. It's important not to lose those because you're going to need those to go back in to secure properly so they don't make any noise. Next, we're going to work on removing this panel right here, which is held in by a series of clips as well. We're going to get underneath this rubber here and use our pry tool to push this down. Now that this is out, we're going to slide this over the top. And again, these are going to have those little plastic covers with these, so be sure not to lose those. Now that these are out, you have access to the top of the strut if you ever needed to service the suspension. All right, so let's repeat this process on the other side. We'll come back. So check it out. We have the passenger side removed now as well. And we're going to start next by removing this centerpiece right here, which again is held in by a series of clips. I'm actually going to take these off. Not that you necessarily have to, but it just might make it a little bit easier. Again, this is held in by a series of clips. We're just going to pop this up and off. Next, we're going to work to remove this top access cover above the seat belts with our pry tools. So check it out. Here's a look at this panel cover, which is held in place by a series of clips. We're just going to slide this down out of the way. So next I'm going to repeat this exact same process on the other side of the car. And when we come back, we'll work on removing the bolts that hold in the center support brace. These bolts on each side are T30s. We're now going to work to remove those so we can remove the center brace. Then we'll pull out the carpet. These bolts now out. This center support bar will lift out of place. And we're then going to work on popping this panel up right here. Now moving on to removing the carpet. The engine cover is held in place by a dozen of these T30 bolts. We're going to work to remove these next, then pry up this panel to finally gain access to our engine. All right, these last four in place are in tight spots, so we're going to remove those by hand with our socket wrench. Something I ran into with these frontmost T30 bolts is that there's limited space to work with. So with the traditional bit here, you'll notice you can get it in on the top, but there's not enough space for a wrench to get in underneath to work this out. So what you'll need is a T30 that's small enough to fit underneath here to remove these bolts. With the cover off, you now have access to your motor. So that's how you gain engine access to your 981 generation Porsche Cayman. Actually in the process of putting this back together, which is the exact opposite of what I just walked y'all through. I want to thank y'all for hanging out. I'll talk to you soon.